Welcome back to my channel, my Car and Stocks. My name is Cody. I am glad you're here with me today. This may seem like a different format than what I usually do, and that's because my last video I did, I have the video ready. I had too many issues, so I'm here with an off-the-cuff video, and this is just about some things I feel like people get wrong about realtors. And what inspired this was a fellow realtor saying these things online about other realtors, and it really struck me the wrong way because I feel like it's not coming from the right place, and I feel like they just showcased it in the very wrong way. Before we get into this, please smash the like button, smash the subscribe button, and let's get started. So instead of editing, the fancy editing, I got something better. Post-it notes. I don't know if you can read this because for me it looks backwards, but if you can't read it, I'll read it to you. And the first one is agents are cocky and only care about money. And this might be true for some agents. You know, I mean, there's obviously those people out there, but most of the agents that I know genuinely care about their clients. They're not cocky. They don't show off all this money they make because they're not making that money. And that's another thing people get wrong, is that all agents make all this money and they don't deserve that money because they don't do anything for their clients. And that pisses me off because I work my butt off for my clients. I know tons of great realtors who I would trust my family to work with that work their ass off for their clients as well. So that just really something that really ticked my nerve because we do a ton. People don't realize how much goes into it, how much knowledge, how much strategizing, how much stoicism goes into this. It's something, I mean, it's the small amount of people give a bad name for the majority, and it's just like that on anything. Like take Twitter for example. I mean, there's a very small percentage of Twitter that's very vocal about things, but they give Twitter the bad name that people have on them. There's a ton of people who are terrific on Twitter, but then there's that small group of people who just make too much noise and they give a bad reputation. And that's the same thing with any industry. You look at some agents who might be cocky. They might be posting pictures about, oh, I made all this money today. Oh, eating at these fancy restaurants. That's not the majority. That is the minority. Number 2, skip the realtor if you're buying a home because you don't need one. Save money, skip the realtor. That is a complete falsehood unless you know exactly what you're doing. There's way too much that goes into a home sale to not have a realtor, in my opinion. I would never let anyone in my family ever buy a home without a realtor. And I mean ever. Because there's just way too many ways that a seller could take advantage of the buyer, or vice versa. The buyer could take advantage of the seller, especially if there is a listing agent involved. Now this came from people seeing that, oh, they're disclosing how much people are getting paid. The realtor's taking home 3%. Well, if we go by ourselves without the realtor, we're going to save them 3%. And that is not true. The contracts in Indiana specifically state that the seller is paying the listing broker, and the listing broker is compensating the buyer. And on that, buyer's agent. And on that contract, it says that they're getting the set amount. And that's not going to be influenced by you skipping the realtor. You know what is going to happen? That listing agent is going to get almost double the money. So you're helping this listing agent make more money, and they're not even working for you because they're turning into a limited agent, which means that they can't help you negotiate and get the most out of this transaction. What they're doing is they're just a referee making sure things go fine and follow the rules. So don't skip the agent because this could put you in a bad situation. Like just recently, I had some clients where if they would have went with the agent, they would have paid a ton of money out of pocket for some issues that popped up because this agent isn't there to help them not pay that money. This agent is there to make sure that it gets to closing because they're getting paid double. Number 3. Agents don't work hard enough for the money they make. And this comes to people thinking agents make $11,000, $7,000, $10,000, $15,000 per home. And that is completely false. And in this video, he goes through and puts an example of a $450,000 home. And that's not typical. It might be where he's from, I don't know. But it's not typical in most areas. Typically, homes are selling for around $200,000, probably average, I would say 200 to 250 average, and that is a much smaller cut and percentage than what they made it out to be in that video. So people don't realize how much money actually goes into being a realtor. Now, taxes stick us up the butt with 30%, and that is a ton of money. I don't. But there's also expenses. There's also fees to your brokerage. So some brokerages will give their agents 94%, 95% of any sale, but they're also charging a large fee for a desk fee that some places go $17,000 to $24,000 a year, and that's a large amount of money to anybody, which can help really make it a harder barrier of entry in some areas, some instances. Not only that, but you're paying for all your expenses, all your marketing, your tools you're using, anything you need, you are paying for out of pocket. You're not getting that from your employer because you don't have an employer. You're also not guaranteed a check. You could work your butt off, but you're at the mercy of the market. And that could really hurt how much money you're making. For example, I've had months where I made a ton of money, and I've had a month where I've made barely any money. And it's up and down, and it's never consistent. I would say last year, I got my total gross commission, I'll be honest, was probably around, I think 130-ish, maybe. And my total expenses from that gross commission was probably around $60,000. So I paid out $60,000 and I took home the rest. And I'm sure it was probably, I don't know what it was for sure, but that's probably about the range it was. And that's fairly typical. So agents aren't making $11,000, $15,000 per sale. They're deducting their expenses, or they're paying their brokers a significant amount of money, and it's reducing it. I would say the average is probably $3,500, maybe $4,000 if you're taking 100%, or around $3,000, depending on what you're going for. The next one is, so you don't need an agent to list your home. And that's true. You don't need an agent to list your home. You can do whatever you want. There's plenty of technology out there. There's access to everything, marketing, whatever you want to do, go for it. But the thing people don't realize, they're trying to save money. But at the end of the day, studies have shown that you're actually selling your house for less. And if you don't have that agent up to bat for you, helping protect you, there are so many things that could go wrong. And there's so many emotions involved in this that you might get trampled over by someone else's agent. 89% of buyers are working with an agent. So you're gonna have to deal with and pay an agent's commission, or the buyer will be paying that commission for you. And the buyer has to pay that commission. They're paying you less money. You don't get as much exposure, which could cause you to get less favorable offers. You're paying a buyer's agent. And then at the end of the day, the buyer's agent is working for their buyer and not you. So they might trample over you, and there might be some money sliding under the table that you didn't realize you could save by having that realtor. So at the end of the day, you are actually spending more money potentially than you are if you are listing with an agent. So don't try to save that 3% and work with an agent, because that could save you a 3% or sell your house for more. The very last reason, and then I just want to wrap up with another thing that people miss about working with an agent, is the emotional part. There are a ton of emotions involved when you are selling your home or buying your home, and this could lead to rash decisions that could cost you a lot of money or cost you a ton, just a ton in general. And there are plenty of times when I'm working with my client and my client is freaking out about something. They're over emotional. They're like, we need this, blah, blah, whatever they're saying, right? And if this was disclosed to the seller, if the seller even had a hint of this, if there was a seller's agent, the listing agent, you had a hint of this, then that would put them at a huge disadvantage. So it's my job to cover up that emotion and use strategies and techniques that I've learned and experienced over time to help you get the most and avoid situations where you are at a disadvantage with that emotion. And I mean, this happens all the time. I've had a seller who's willing to go $5,000 they're asking, when just the other day they were saying, I'm not taking less than this amount. It's because there were high emotions involved. And I had to talk to the seller saying, hey, let's let it air. Let's go on for a little longer. We'll probably get something better. We can, there's no rush to get this settled now. And we waited and we got a lot more. I mean, we got $15,000 more than what this person was giving her initially. So there is a lot of things that goes on, and I feel like realtors just get a bad view because there's a select few that give everyone else a bad view, and the ones that are doing a great job aren't as vocal as the people who are doing, So there are some things that the Realtor Association probably wouldn't want me to say. So instead, here's me saying different things and random things. Happy Monday. I hope you enjoyed this video. Tell me how you like the format. I probably won't be doing this format again, but off the cuff, let's go. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, press the bell for notifications, tap this video because YouTube thinks you might like it, and I will see you in the next one.